Okay, folks. Happy Wednesday morning. I think that's where we're at on our weekly journey. All right. That one's complete. That one's complete other than sealing. This one's complete other than being on a stand and sealing. I believe we're getting ready to do drippings on the turret stuff because we already did it here. Yeah. Yeah. So I had an interesting evening, and I got a little bit of a show and tell that I think you guys will like. I don't really know, but you know, I guess we'll find out. I guess if I show and tell and nobody makes any comments, then nobody really cared. Or you're just aghast, like, oh, for like half an hour, and oh, my show's off, and you never got a word in. But it was a model meeting last night, monthly model meeting, and I'll circle back to a second on that. But after that, it just so happened that Mitch had a game night, and I went over there and stayed too long. I stayed like two and a half hours, something like that. Didn't get there till like 9. So yeah, I got home late. So I'm pretty tired considering I only got like 4 hours of sleep. So if I sound a little tired, yeah, I was there for a while, but just catching up. Didn't do any gaming. Didn't want to start at 9 o'clock at night. Like so we chit chatted for a couple hours. Sorry, there's no video of that. But anyhow, the model meeting was kind of cool because from time to time they have people that come and either donate models to the club and sell them for club funds, or do a swap trade or that kind of thing. And I ended up picking up something because I need more of these, like a hole in the head. But it is a Hasegawa 109E. That's nice that they don't show the crooked spider. We don't have to worry about showing it online. But this is an unbuilt model, and like I have one that's crashed. So I'm like sitting there thinking, okay, well, I think this is the 4th or 5th 109 that I have for the City Rizet airfield, and I'm gonna crash the ones. I'm gonna have the ones crashed looking or damaged that are the chromius models. So I have to kind of look where it is. So this is actually a tropical one, and 172nd, of course. Why would it be anything other than that? Oh, this one has lots of markings. Well, that's good because flown by Captain Oberleutnant Letrick Helmut, and I made mine a 4, so that's interesting. I painted mine like this one. And then Gerlitz. So a couple different versions here. Some of them with some variations of them on here. And I don't know if the decals are included. I don't worry about that. I don't worry about that stuff too much. Hasegawa decals are all individual. It's not like on one big sheet. Yeah. Oh, we have crooked spiders on there. Well, I don't need any. I got tons of them. Interesting that they give you 2 different kinds. Some have a black line around the white line that's around the black crooked spider. But anyway, so we got one of these because it was really inexpensive. Good price. And what I'm probably going to do is I'm going to take my F and not build it for the desert. Because this is a dedicated desert version. So, but anyways, I picked this up and I'm like sitting there thinking, well, I should have gotten it, whatever. So they do a raffle all the time. They raffle if you bring a model in, if you talk about it, whatever, you get a ticket, and they pull 2 names, I think, every time, and if you win, you get to pick from something that they have, their choice, and they picked my number after I'd already gotten that. And I ended up picking, they didn't have any 1/72nd scale armor. They only had 1/72nd scale planes. So I ended up picking up this specifically because of the manufacturer of it. And this is a Tamiya P-47. So you guys are going to see me build one of these sometime soon. I'm probably not going to crash this. Besides, if you crashed a P-47, it'd have to have so much damage on it. It would have to look destroyed because these things could take a beating. But it comes with decals for 2 different planes. Well, hell, let's take a look at what's inside. You guys want to take a look at that? So, yeah, no 1/72nd scale armor. I don't want a 1/35th scale armor kit. I'm not doing that. We're not going there. We're only doing 1/72nd scale here. To me, is the gold standard as far as I'm concerned. And I've never built the P-47. No. I've heard the P-47s are big. Like, physically. And it's funny because the size of the boxes don't matter. You know, a 109 is not that big. This is a big freaking box for a 109. Decal sheet. Yeah, holy smokes. Yeah, this is, oh, it's not that big. Not that much bigger. Oh my God, this is beautiful. Holy smokes, this is beautiful. Oh. I think I've got the skills to be able to complete this, so still make this look good. I've never done a silver aircraft either. You know, natural finish. All kinds of bomb armament. I guess what's big on it is this distance. The distance between the bottom of the fuselage and the bottom and the bottom of the plane. Look at all those beautiful panel lines. Holy cow, this is a beautiful model. It's a beautiful model. Wow. Yeah, not only do they have really thin panel lines, they've got these access panels that have bolts on them. And the bolts in there. Wow, this is beautiful. Okay, well, we'll try to do this thing proud when we build them. I don't think I'm gonna. I need to catch up on my planes. Meaning, like, I'm pretty sure that after I'm done with these T-35s, I'm gonna finish that 109, so we can make that stand for it. That stand for the 109, and if we do, before we build any planes, we're going to finish the 2 planes that have in progress, which is a P-40 and a Spitfire. Okay. No, the biggest problem with planes is where am I going to put them? They take up a lot more space, and I'm out of space. No, we're not going to put them out here in somewhere where they're going to get dust and stuff. Comes with two different markings for this thing. Look at, yeah, Tamiya is just absolutely gorgeous, and they always have these little caricature folks. Why is this on top chat? There we go. Yeah. So one of the markings is the only thing I don't like about Tamiya is their paint. I used to. We're not using Tamiya paint. Lieutenant Colonel Benjamin Mayo, 84th Fighter Squadron, 78th Fighter Group, Duxford Air Base, 1944. Oh, this thing's got Normandy stripes on the bottom of it. Okay. And then Major General. Wow, a Major General flying a frickin' plane? William Kepner, 551st FTS, 495th FTG, Mount Farm Air Base, Autumn 44. I guess that's a lieutenant colonel. That's some pretty high-ranking dudes flying these things. Interesting. It gives you the configuration. See, this is the kind of stuff that, and some of the Tamiya models don't do this that are old, but the new stuff. I don't know how old this model is. It might actually say on here. Probably on the first page. 2004. That's pretty new. That's new as far as I'm concerned. And they give you this, they give you stuff like this, like, you got the hard points, things you can put on there depending if you're using it to escort bombers. You have your fuel, your extra range fuel tanks. If you're doing ground attack, you have your different items like so. That's pretty cool. Anyways, back to T-35s. So, we'll try to get this done. We'll try to get that done in 2025. We'll try to get that done this year. I know I did some plane building, and I think some people like that, just for variety. The only thing I'm going to do is I'm not doing other scales. I'm not doing 1/48 scale, none of that nonsense. You prefer the earlier version, P-47. Well, that's all they had. And you can't complain when you win something. I think that one's a lot better looking. I don't like the earlier. I don't like the olive drab American planes. That doesn't mean I won't paint one. The P-40, by God's sake, is going to be an olive drab, but I haven't finished a plane yet. I'll do that 109, but it's going to be really dirty. But the rest of the planes, I'm going to do them like this. We're going to weather them the same type of way. I think they'll look just back. Well, it's everybody's favorite time. It's the Tony Tone time. I actually like that version better than the other one. But if they had the other one, I would have gotten the other one. You know, the earlier P-47 reminds me of playing European Air War. And European Air War was this computer game that I got. I don't know when it was. It was on my first computer, so it might have been around 2001, 2002. it looked pretty decent at the time. And it was on my gateway computer. My gateway computer had a speaker, had a little boom box for it. It had the two little like tweeter things here that went up here next to the computer. And then it had a boom box that went below me by Boston Acoustics, I believe is the name of the company that it came with. It all came like as a package deal. It was a, I don't even know what kind of speed it was, but it was a gateway computer that I got in February 1999. And when you fire up European Air War, P-47 in particular, you'd start it up. It blows so much air and sound through there. You could feel it on your legs, on the hair on your legs, and be like you're like in some kind of wind tunnel. It's actually pretty cool. Actually, pretty neat. So, not a big video gamer. I do play them, but I was talking to Don last night, and we were talking about my experience with playing War Thunder on the computer, how I can actually shoot a plane down in it, as opposed to on the console where I couldn't shoot anything down. And I was telling him, he said, oh, well, he plays a lot of the Naval War Thunder. And I'm like, well, the problem with the Naval War Thunder is there's a whole lot of HUD information that's very distracting from the experience. There's a lot of things on your display that just wouldn't be prevalent. He's like, oh, well, you need to play in realistic mode because it doesn't have that. I'm like, okay, well, maybe I'll try that. But I do like playing the naval stuff because I'm a fan and it keeps me from having to paint any naval miniatures. We'll end up diluting our interest a little too much if I start doing all that. I told him, I said, I play all those games. I don't spend a single dime. I play them for free, and you got to earn shit. I could have picked something else other than the P-47, but it would have like a ME-262. What else did they have? That was 1/72nd. Might have been just between the ME-262 and that. I'm like, nah, we don't need no more crooked spider shit. We got enough of those guys. Yeah, so they have this drawing, and if you get it, you get to pick one of the models from the stash. And the model could be a model that's this big or a model that's tiny. It just depends on what you want. I'm not getting it from the standpoint of what's more bang for the buck. Like, look, dude, like I already got it for, you know, just a drawing. I'm not going to buy something I'm not going to build in a scale that's just not even conceivable. And I know people, oh, I do this in 1/48th, I do this in 1/72nd. I'm not doing those other scales. Did I mention I love doing this part? I really do. See, I found out they were going to do a game. Like, hey, why don't you come over in a couple of weeks? They're going to do some new Axis and Allies game, which I didn't know they even came out with, like a North Africa one or something like that. And they're explaining the rules to me when I went over there. It's like, do you want to play? I'm like, it's too late to get started, man. Well, we spent some time talking about it, how they'd already come up with house rules because apparently the original game starts in 1942 with the Germans. Like, so what? You just skipped all of Operation Compass and all of the, what was the first year called? Sun and Bloom or whatever. You get to jump in after Operation Crusader. I'm like, dude, it's like they invite you to a movie and you show up to the movie an hour and a half late. It's like, dude, what the hell? I didn't know they even had that version. So I'll be the first to admit I don't know shit about aircraft. From a comparative standpoint. So I can't wait the kind of information they give you on the fighter groups that those P-47s were in. And I'm probably not going to be on tonight. Disclaimer. It's my late night and the daughter gets in. So I think by the time I be able to start doing the modeling, the daughter is going to be in. So probably not going to be doing that. She's in Belgium right now. Just took off. I guess they only had one day of strikes. All right, let's see how this guy goes together. But anyways, all the aircraft I'm going to do, they're not going to look pristine. They're going to look like they've. they've been through a situation or four. Okay, well, this one has a problem. The problem this one has is that I guess I was in a hurry to spray paint things. Now I have another hull and extra pieces. So I don't exactly know what these are, but they're like little shock absorber type thingies that are here on the outside of the tank. And this one doesn't have it because of spare parts or something like that. So I have them out there, and I have another hull that does have all of it on there. So I think what I'm going to do is I'll add them on later. Yeah, I'll add them. I'll add them on later because I don't want to go in the garage and glue that stuff on here and scrape paint or paint. I think that's the only thing that's missing on here is just those things. So let's we need to paint the track is what needs to get painted next. So let's see if we can take the sign off. Made in Russia. Jeffrey, I didn't look at the things that you sent me. I saw that you sent me a couple things, but man, it's been one thing after another. Yesterday was a big rush. Like I needed to get the stuff I needed to do at work and then be able to leave it at the right time to be able to make all this other stuff. Is this the one that we want to? Yeah. Maybe one that's not so precise. I don't want to waste. Maybe not one that's that shitty. Actually, you just got moved to the other bin. Here we go. There's a good candidate. It's already got a bristle that's coming out here at 90 degrees. Yeah, I didn't realize the other day that Painting Panzers was running a show at the same time. Well, I'm not. I don't pay attention to my notifications if I'm on, and I don't have things signed up for it. We had some guests. Who are these people? Why didn't I get invited? No, that's fine. His show is actually a little too short. I mean, you could do whatever you want with it, but I mean, the only reason this show is as short as it is, I got to go to the salt mines. But I don't want to get on for an hour. That's just too much work for me to get everything rolling just to be in an hour. Of course, I think technically his would be Sunday evening. He's probably got to go to work, but I think I think 3 hours is a good time. Any longer than that, and my day it just goes too fast. My free time just goes too fast. One showed the vehicles used in filming warfare. Oh, okay. The one of the links that you sent me. Okay. Is that movie worth watching? I mean, as far as movies go, we all know how that is. Have to go back and rebuy Force on Force. Now, I had no interest in doing modern conflicts, especially modern conflicts to involve, the United States. Like, I'll pass on those. I know those two Finnish movies are ones I'm looking forward to seeing with the daughter. And no, I don't mean Sisu or whatever the hell that's called. I saw the trailer of that thing and I'm not interested in watching that. Over the top gore for gore's sake, like a Tarantino movie or something like that. He had a Swede and a Canadian on. The Swede was interesting as his grandfather had fought for the Germans. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know how to do that stuff, and I certainly don't know how to do all that stuff and like film it. You know, set up all that stuff. You do it, it'd be like, set up a bunch of a lot of trial and error. You know, the Zoom call that I've done a couple times now, even with that is, can you hear me? Can you hear me now? No, I can't see. I can see your mouth moving. It takes like 20 minutes to get it figured out how to do it. I don't want the hobby to cause confusion. Warfare needs to be watched without distraction. It is in real time. Well worth it for the experience. Okay. Could have come up with a better name for it, right? It's a bit generic of a game. Be like, I'm playing this game. What are you gonna call it? Tanks. Like, okay, well, you obviously failed advertising. But there was a tank game. Wasn't there a game called Tanks that was made by Osprey? Somebody. That was just tanks running around, almost like a roll of tanks thing. Came out 3, 4 years ago, whatever. There's one guy I know bought into it. But he's a butterfly. He's a gaming butterfly. He'll do this and then he'll do that, and he gets involved in too much stuff. Which the problem is then if, like for me, it'd be like I wouldn't get anything done if I was involved in too many things. And I'm not doing this to not get stuff done. So man, it'd been a year since I stayed up this late on a work night. At least it was Tuesday, not Monday. That's one more weekday to have to sit through. Okay. One thing's for sure, when we go to paint over this will be plenty dry. Text was not great. Played it in 10 mil. They relaunched it about 3 years ago under the World of Tanks banner. Was by Battlefront. Maybe that's the one I played. Well, they have, you find out there's these games that it seems like nobody makes, and then all of a sudden they make one, and then there's 3 or 4 copycat games or similar things, and you're like, man, you can't keep them straight. Uh, what was the name that there was a set of rules that came out before Flames of War, made by Battlefront? I think that was like a one. It was like a 1 to 5 scale game or something like that. It might not have been Battlefront, but I don't really know the Battlefront history. It might be one of those that it was a separate company and it got bought by these other guys and they changed the name of it but kept some of their things, and I'm not really privy to what happened there. But the year before I played DBA, I played a game of it. It was 2003. I went to this hobby store where they were demoing Armati, which I had had already for 7 years, and just never did anything with it because nobody was around playing and I needed to get my foot in the door. So I got my foot in the door, played a demo. You know, again, they announced, hey, we're going to do this demo, and like nobody showed up. You know, I think like the guy's son and maybe one other person showed up to play. And we can do some of this. And it was a game, I want to say it was by Battlefront. And it was before Flames of War came out. Just before it came out, I think. But yeah, you've got, on that level of tanks, right? You got, well, I don't know, tanks might just be a little too generic. You got what a tanker. You got Achtung Panzer. You've got that board game that looks really interesting. That I've seen multiple people play it, and you got like this card, and you know, it's just this combination of forces that I wouldn't put together, like a T-34, an early T-34, and a late T-34, and an 85, and an Su-85 versus a Tiger, a Panzer IV, a Panther. You know, it's like one of each kind of thing. Made by, I don't know who the designer is. Actually, the designer is somebody with an Italian last name. And it has, you know, relative ranges to stuff. So it's like you're playing like a cross between Patton's Best and Upfront. So you've got these ranges that you don't have a board per se. You're playing on this sheet. Battlefront was a game by the folks that did Fire and Fury. They used stat cards for the unit. That's the one I'm talking about. Okay, so that Battlefront is the name of that game, but it wasn't the Battlefront that was the manufacturer of the miniatures for Flames of War, right? Yes, they had stat cards for the. That's the one. Man, Fire and Fury is a popular game. Somebody was telling me, "Hey, you play Tractics?" Nope, I've heard of it. It's before my time. Well, it was super complicated, and you have to figure out millimeters of armor, angle of impact. I'm like, I like all that stuff. But the problem with that game is that kind of detail is probably not prevalent in infantry. It's like, yeah, whatever, just sweep them odd or even to get a hit. You know, it's like you have all this excruciatingly detailed with the stuff with the tanks, but when you know any combined arm stuff, like the other stuff's just dumbed down. Like, yeah, flip a coin to see if they hit, kind of thing. See if we can finish up this side, so at least we're at a stopping point. All right, folks. Oh, Flames of War was put together by ex-employees of Games Workshop New Zealand that became Battlefront. I remember when they were developing the game about the same time as Blitzkrieg Commander development. I think you're the one that told me about Blitzkrieg Commander that had some unique things in it. Somebody told me about it recently, and I'm like, that sounds pretty cool. You know, there's some parts of it that are pretty cool. I think that, a 1-to-1 scale game is fine. And the 1-to-5 scale games like Command Decision, Rapid Fire, I like that as well. They have their own purpose. If you're going to have multiple guys on a stand, I want to do that scale. I'm not anti 1-to-5. It actually works. It actually works pretty well. All right, folks. Thanks for stopping by. We'll see you guys on the next one. Bye-bye. The original bar from Warhammer 40K could have had bolt action earlier. What if? The original rules of Flames of War had 40K stuff in it? Really? Yeah.